the torture, the curse, and the disappearance. Friday, the 13th, the date that changed everything. In a single morning, the most powerful organization in the world was gone. Or so Philip thought, because arresting the Templars was the easy part. Getting them to confess was something else entirely. Philip needed confessions, not because he needed proof. He already had the Pope's permission, he already had the soldiers, he already had the cells. He needed confessions because he needed the world to believe him. A king who simply seized the assets of the most powerful religious order in history would look like a thief. But a king who uncovered heresy, who exposed devil worship, who saved Christendom from corruption, that king looked like a hero. He needed broken men on their knees, admitting every accusation, heresy, devil worship, obscene rituals, betrayal of Christ, and to get those confessions. He had time, he had dungeons, and he had men who knew how to use both. What happened inside those cells has been documented. Some of it. The rest can only be imagined. Templars who had survived crusades, men who had charged into battle against armies 10 times their size, men who had refused to surrender even when surrounded and dying. Those men broke. Not immediately, not easily, but they broke. Sleep deprivation for days on end, starvation, the strappado, arms tied behind the back, hoisted into the air by a rope, then dropped suddenly. Not enough to kill, just enough to destroy. The shoulders dislocating, the body failing, the mind following, day after day, week after week, until the words Philip needed came out. Yes, we spat on the cross. Yes, we denied Christ. Yes, we worshipped an idol called Baphomet. Yes, everything you said is true. The scribes wrote it all down. The confessions were signed. The trials were scheduled. But there was a problem. Some of the Templars recanted. Once they were out of the torture chambers, once they could breathe again. Once they understood that their confession meant death regardless. They took it back. They stood up in public and said, "What I signed was a lie. I was tortured. I confessed to things that never happened. I confessed because they left me no choice." Under church law, a man who recanted his confession and was found guilty again was to be burned alive. Philip was not troubled by this. The fires were lit across France. Dozens of Templars burned at the stake, men who had fought for Christendom, men who wore the cross, men who had protected pilgrims on the roads to Jerusalem, burned by the very church they had sworn to protect. Most confessed again before the flames reached them. Most said whatever was needed to be said. Most died whispering the words Philip required, but not all. And then came March 18th. The last Grand Master of the Knights Templar was brought to a scaffold in Paris. Jacques de Molay, an old man now, white beard, worn face, worn eyes, a man who had led the most powerful order in the world, now standing in chains before a crowd gathered to watch him die. He had confessed under torture. He had signed everything Philip needed. He had done what broken men do, but on that scaffold, in front of the entire city of Paris, in front of the king and the Pope themselves. Jacques de Molay did something no one expected. He recanted, publicly, loudly, without hesitation, without fear. Everything I confessed was false. The order is innocent. The charges are lies invented by a king who owed us money. The crowd went silent. Philip's men moved immediately. A public recantation meant one thing, the pyre. They built it on a small island in the Seine River, a slow fire, green wood deliberately chosen, designed to burn as long as possible, designed to cause maximum suffering, and as the flames rose around him, as the smoke filled his lungs, Jacques de Molay spoke his final words. He looked toward the crowd. He found Philip. He found the Pope, and he cursed them both. Pope Clement, King Philip, I summon you before God's tribunal within the year. The crowd heard it. The scribes recorded it. The whole of Paris witnessed it. And then the flames took him. What happened next has never been fully explained. Pope Clement V died 33 days later, not in battle, not by assassination, by illness. Suddenly, unexpectedly, a man who had been healthy the week before, King Philip IV of France, died 7 months after that. A hunting accident or a stroke. The accounts differ. He was 46 years old, strong, in power, in control, dead within the year, exactly as de Molay had summoned. Think about what that means. A man who had everything, the most powerful king in Europe, the man who broke the Templars, the man who burned their Grand Master alive on a slow fire. He had won, or so he believed. 33 days after the fire, the Pope was dead. 33 days, the same number of years Christ lived on earth. Coincidence? The medieval world did not think so. And then Philip himself, 7 months later, 46 years old. No warning, no prolonged illness, no explanation that satisfied anyone. A king in perfect health 1 week, a king being buried the next. People remembered the scaffold. People remembered the old man in flames. People remembered the words spoken loud enough for the entire city to hear. I summon you before God's tribunal within the year. Both men, within the year, both gone. And Philip's sons, 3 kings, 3 deaths, no heirs. A dynasty that had ruled France for 300 years. Ended in 14 years after one old man on a burning pyre pointed his finger at a king and spoke his last words. Call it coincidence, call it history, call it what you want, but the numbers do not lie, the dates do not lie, the graves do not lie. Coincidence? Perhaps, but the curse did not stop there. Philip had 3 sons. All 3 became kings of France after him. All 3 died young. All 3 died without male heirs. Within 14 years of de Molay's death, the entire Capetian dynasty was gone, the most powerful royal family in Europe, the family that had ruled France for 3 centuries. Ended completely, permanently, the curse of the last Templar. Whether you believe in curses or not, the facts are undeniable. The man who destroyed the Templars lost everything within a year. His sons lost everything within a decade. His dynasty ceased to exist within a generation. And the Templars? Officially, they were gone. The order was dissolved by the Pope in 1312. Their assets seized, their castles taken, their name forbidden. But here is what history books do not always mention. Not all Templars were arrested on Friday the 13th. The arrests happened in France. In England, the king moved more slowly. In Scotland, the papal orders were barely enforced. In Portugal, the Templars were simply renamed the Order of Christ. Same men, same structure, same secrets, new name, and the Templar fleet, the ships that had filled Mediterranean harbors for 2 centuries, gone. On the morning of the arrests, the entire Templar naval fleet disappeared, not captured, not sunk, not burned, simply gone. No one knows where they went. No one knows what they carried. 18 ships, vanished overnight, never found. Some say they sailed to Scotland. Some say they carried the treasures found beneath Solomon's temple. Some say they carried the ancient scrolls, the dangerous documents, the knowledge that gave the Templars leverage over Rome. Some say they formed the foundation of something new, something that exists to this day. The Freemasons emerged in the centuries after the Templars disappeared. The symbols are familiar, the structure is familiar, the secrecy is familiar, the obsession with Solomon's temple is familiar. Is there a connection? Historians argue. The Masons deny it, but the similarities are too consistent to fully dismiss. 2 knights with 1 horse became the most powerful organization in the world. They were destroyed in a single morning, and something rose from their ashes that may still be operating today. The Red Cross is gone, the white tunic is gone, the name is gone. But the secrets found beneath Solomon's temple all those centuries ago, those were never recovered, never destroyed, never explained. They are somewhere, with someone, watching, waiting, just as they always have. The Knights Templar, from nothing to untouchable, from untouchable to ashes, from ashes to something we cannot name. The story does not end. It never ended.